Good morning, everyone. This discussion is about 6 mistakes to avoid when you're setting up your ℙ router. And the reason why I got concerned about this topic is because I set up a ℙ router. And so I did a little research to find out the things I should do and the things I shouldn't. And in the meantime, I also found some additional information, which I will share with you today. So a ℙ router is a type of wireless networking system that uses multiple interconnected devices known as nodes to provide a seamless and robust Wi-Fi coverage throughout a home or office space. Unlike traditional single router setups, where a single device is responsible for transmitting and receiving signals, a ℙ router system employs a network of nodes that communicate with each other to extend the range and improve the performance of your wireless network. 6 mistakes to avoid, and this is what we will be covering this morning, is you don't want to buy the wrong system for your house. If you have a ISP modem router combo and you're using that in conjunction with your ℙ router, you want to turn your Wi-Fi radios off in that device. You want to be concerned about placement. You don't want to ignore existing Ethernet wiring if you have it available. You don't want to use a consumer grade system for enterprise grade tasks. And lastly, don't buy a Wi-Fi 5 system in the age of Wi-Fi 6. So those are the topics. So you don't want to buy the wrong system for your house. When consumer grade ℙ Wi-Fi launched a few years ago, there were only a couple options, but today there are over 10 systems available for purchase. And some of the factors to consider is take consideration of your square footage with a grain of salt. Manufacturers claim that 4,000 square feet of coverage may give you some signal throughout your house, but you certainly won't get the full speeds of your internet service provider that promised you. In general, it's better to overbuy. Sometimes you need more than 2 or 3 access points or nodes that come in the box. Try not to pick solely based on aesthetics and price if you can help it. Small ℙ access points that look cool may be pleasant to look at, but they often suffer from performance issues compared to a bulkier system with larger and more plentiful radios. You want to make sure you get a system with a dedicated backhaul radio for communication between access points, especially if you have a larger home. For example, if your main router is in the basement, the signal may have to travel to the access point on the main level, then up to the access point on the 2nd floor before reaching your device on the 3rd floor. In this case, all those hops will lead to a degraded performance in systems without a dedicated channel for backhaul. Second, you want to turn off your ISP modem router combo Wi-Fi radios. The modem router combo units that your ISP gave you isn't particularly good at being either a modem or a router, my opinion. If you're paying monthly for it, you should definitely consider buying your own modem without the Wi-Fi radios inside. If your unit is included or you don't want to buy your own modem for another reason, you can turn off the Wi-Fi radios to improve the performance of your ℙ system. Whether you choose to turn off the Wi-Fi radios manually or put the modem router combo into bridge mode is important to make sure that you aren't broadcasting 2 or more Wi-Fi networks. Broadcasting 2 or more of the same signals, especially on farther reaching 2.4 gigahertz frequency band, can cancel each other out and reduce performance. Poor placement leads to poor performance. The placement of your main router and the satellite access points or nodes can be the difference between speedy wall-to-wall coverage and a slow, spotty signal. Don't rely on the guidance of the mobile app that you are using for setup. Often the app will say, placement looks great, but in actuality, it is a fair position at best. So you want to try to move them around. And in most cases, the node will have a light or a signal and will give you some indication when you're getting the strongest signal. To prevent further frustration, most manufacturers' apps will accept your placement, even if it's only 50% signal throughput, which is not acceptable when you're looking to get access to your full bandwidth internet speed through the whole house. You want to try a few positions, as I said earlier, test your speed and connectivity rather than relying on the app. If you're restricted because of an AC outlet, then you have really few choices. You'll want to start in the center of your house for the placement of your modem and the main access point. If you start in a corner of the basement, you're more likely to take multiple hops to get from the main router to the end user device. Ideally, your setup will resemble a star layout, with each satellite access point connecting directly to the main router or access point. You want to try avoiding doing a daisy chain. You want to place your access points where you already have the strongest signal. Each satellite AP should be about 30 feet away from the main router. Put APs between where you have and want a good signal, not just where you want it. The closer to the main router will give the satellite AP a stronger signal. That AP will then broadcast a stronger signal to your devices. You want to resist the urge to hide APs in cabinets or on the floor. Placing your access points out in the open as high as possible leads to the best results. If you insist on hiding your APs, get a system with more powerful and plentiful APs to make up for it. You don't want to ignore existing Ethernet wiring. Even the best mesh Wi-Fi systems using wireless backhaul between access points won't stand up to the reliability and speed you get from using an Ethernet cable. If your home has Ethernet cables installed, use that infrastructure for wired backhaul to connect your APs to each other. Look for mesh systems that can use Ethernet cables for wired backhaul. If you have Ethernet running through your house, but it ends in a mess of wires in the basement, you may want to call a professional to sort it out. Or if you're feeling handy, buy a wire toner and start sorting through the rat's nest of wires yourself. You don't want to use a consumer-grade system for enterprise-grade tasks. Don't choose a consumer-grade system if you're running a file server, 100+ devices, or a VPN, and have mission-critical systems that need to be working at all times. You'll need an enterprise-grade equipment to predictably and securely handle that kind of load. Anyone moving to a semi or permanent work-from-home status, an enterprise-grade paired with reliable internet will give you performance closer to what you were used to in your office. Don't buy Wi-Fi 5 systems in the age of Wi-Fi 6 and 7. Now that Wi-Fi 6 is widely available, skip the Wi-Fi 5 systems of the past, like the first generation Linksys Philip and the Wi-Fi 5 Netgear Orbi. Wi-Fi 6 will stay future-proof longer and support more simultaneous devices and higher speeds. Wi-Fi 6 is a must for gigabit internet connections. Wi-Fi 7 is the next Wi-Fi standard to be released. So I'm going to go over some glossary of terms because we threw out a lot of terminology as well as acronyms. So an access point, or what we said AP, In this context of a mesh Wi-Fi systems, it's a physical device that broadcasts and receives Wi-Fi signals to communicate with end-user devices like phones and computers and other access points. The main access point is called the router and connects directly to the modem. A satellite access point does not connect to the modem directly, but instead communicates with the main access point or router. Another access point via Wi-Fi or wired connection. That's also referred to as a node. When we were talking about backhaul, we were talking about communicating between access points in a mesh route network. Backhaul can be wireless using Wi-Fi signals or wired using Ethernet. Bandwidth, that's the amount of data transmitted over a period of time. Think of it as like a pipe coming into your home. As you increase the bandwidth or size of the pipe, you get more speed and support for more simultaneous data usage. Mesh Wi-Fi refers to a Wi-Fi system with multiple access points or nodes connected via Wi-Fi or connected cables. One of those access points serves as the router and connects to the modem with an Ethernet cable. The system intelligently switches devices like computers and phones to the AP with the best signal. A modem is supplied by your internet service provider or owned by the customer. And this piece of hardware takes the signal from the outside of the house and decodes or translates it to something your devices can use. A modem by itself only supports one device. So a router is used to distribute that signal to multiple devices. Wi-Fi 5 is the 802.11ac standard, which is what most devices support now. It supports some simultaneous streams, but can struggle under heavy loads. Wi-Fi 6/6E is the 802.11ax standard. It's available in new iPhones, Macs, and most mid to high-end electronic devices will use this standard, which is a much better at simultaneously sending high bandwidth tasks. The new standard, Wi-Fi 7, is 802.11be. Consumers will soon experience a quantum leap in wireless performance from 8K streaming video to immersive VR experience. Users around the world will be enjoying an all-new level of increased speed and reduced latency. Wi-Fi 7 will be coming soon to a device near you. Here's something I just wanted to throw out. It's called the cognitive engine or a cognitive mesh router. Linksys is now advertising or selling these routers, and what they are, they help a router adapt to unforeseen changes. It observes the environment, it orients the system by prioritizing tasks, plans options, decides on a plan, acts on it, and learns from its actions. By sharing knowledge, these devices spread intelligence across the internet. Linksys has introduced a series of mesh conjunctive routers that are not compatible with their older generations of mesh routers, including their developed intelligence series. So you want to be aware when you're shopping that if you have an intelligent router, you can't use the cognitive router with that system. So I hope this helps and gives you some insight of what mesh routers are and what they do, and some of the things that you want to avoid should you decide to start using or upgrading your routers.
All right, the evolution of the computer mouse also could be known as the journey of the graphical interface device. So why did we call a computer mouse a mouse? Well, apparently someone thought the computer pointing device resembled the rodent by the same name. And then let's consider this. The cable on the device was said to be like a mouse's tail. So I'm guessing this would have also contributed to how this name came to be. So in the beginning, the early desktop computers did not have a mouse. So all the movements of the cursor on the screen were done with a combination of keystrokes. Now, surprisingly, many of these same keystroke combinations continue to work, and today we call them keyboard shortcuts. Douglas Engelbart, he was a computer scientist working at the Stanford Research Institute. He's credited with being the first to use a pointing device to interact with computers back in 1964. So what's in a name? The name first given to what we commonly call a mouse was the quote, X-Y position indicator for a display system, unquote. Aren't we glad that name changed? Engelbart continued to refine the mouse, and in late 1968 showcased his graphical user interface, or what is still referred to as a GUI, or some like to call it GUI. So in the 1970s, Xerox Corporation continued to develop the functionality of the mouse into the Alto, one of the earliest computers with GUI. The Alto's GUI included what we use today, such as menus and point and click. In 1981, the Xerox Star 8010 was released with a mouse, but despite this being truly revolutionary, the Star was expensive, which limited its ability for success. So an arrangement between Xerox and Apple brought the mouse and GUI to the Macintosh in 1984, and then to the general public with this home computer now being sold at an affordable price. A year later, 1985, Microsoft debuted its first GUI in the Windows 1.0 operating system. Concepts we all take for granted today, such as the desktop, icons, and most importantly, the mouse, were all inspired by the work first done at Xerox's Palo Alto Research Center. Now, the mouse has changed over time. Now, as you think back over the decades that you've been using a mouse, can you recall how many different types you've had in your hand? So the following photos and commentary are from the Red Dot Geek, and more details can be found at red-dot-geek.com. The wired mouse, probably the first one we all used, was certainly inexpensive, and there were no batteries to replace. But on the con side, it had a cable that required the use of a USB port, and that cable often was getting in the way. Then we moved on to the mechanical mouse. Some might have considered this to be cool, but due to the being mechanically driven, the parts would eventually wear out. And what I didn't like was the frequent cleaning that was required, taking it apart and getting all that dust and other gunk out of there. So that's when we moved on to the optical mouse. It lasted longer with fewer mechanical parts, but with time, people realized that it did not work properly on surfaces that did not reflect light. That would include glass and plastic. Then we had the laser mouse. That did work on glass and plastic, but some said it was not as accurate as an optical mouse. Of course, there's the gaming mouse. Extra buttons that are programmable for other options, mostly related to gaming. This is really bigger and bulkier than a standard mouse. Now, my wife, Carol, she has the Logitech Vertical Ergonomic mouse, a very advanced design. But from the con side, no matter what button I press, it's always the wrong one because they're never where they belong. Now, here's my new laptop mouse. It's an interesting name, ℙ𝕝𝕝 M18. It's a USB-C, so it's rechargeable mouse. Amazon is selling it for just under $16. I got mine for under $10 with a coupon. It has a triple mode, which includes dual Bluetooth, wireless, or you can use a USB with a nano receiver that plugs in. It actually allows for two simultaneous pairing on two separate devices. It has two Bluetooth connectivities, BT1 and BT2. And now we all know, as modern thin laptops have limited the number of USB ports, using Bluetooth instead of USB connectivity is a major advantage. And what I like best, it has a USB charging port on the back. So that eliminates the need for frequent and often untimely battery replacement. I easily recharge this mouse by connecting the cable between the mouse USB-C charge port with the USB-C connector on my desktop computer. So will a computer mouse continue to be in our future? Some experts are predicting that advancements with touch screens and verbal commands will make the computer mouse obsolete in the not too distant future. But for those of us that grew up using a mouse to navigate the computer screen, it's hard for me to imagine not using one. Long live the XY position indicator for a display system. The end. Thank you.
Chatbots don't always agree. I'm Hewie Poplock. I saw this question posted on Facebook. I thought that it would be an ideal example of how a chatbot using AI would give the correct answer. Could I be wrong? How smart are you? The stolen bill riddle viral math problem. A guy walks into a store and steals a $100 bill from the register without the owner's knowledge. He then buys $70 worth of goods using the $100 bill, and the owner gives $30 in change. How much money did the owner lose? Let's look at the results of the various chatbots. Certainly they'll all agree. These are just some of the many chatbots. Let's look at the results of the various chatbots. Let's take a look at ChatGPT. The man stole a $100 bill from the store's register, so initially the store lost $100. Then the man made a purchase using the stolen $100 bill, buying $70 worth of goods and receiving $30 in change. So the total amount he spent at the store was $70 plus $30 equals $100. But since the man used the stolen money to make the purchase, the store didn't lose any additional money from the transaction. The net loss remains $100 from. Let's hear from Ask Seneca. My friend, the store did not actually lose any money in this situation. Allow me to explain. As I have written, a benefit is lost utterly and instantly. When someone steals, they are committing an act of wrongdoing akin to sacrilege. However, in this case, the stolen $100 bill was used to purchase goods worth $70, resulting in $30 in change. The store received the full value of the stolen bill in the form of goods and change. Therefore, the store did not suffer any financial loss. Bard, or bard.google.com. The store lost $100. The man stole $100 from the register, which is a loss of $100 for the store. The fact that he then used the stolen money to buy goods and get change does not change the fact that the store lost $100. The store did not actually receive any money from the man because the money he used to pay for the goods was the same money that he had stolen. In other words, the store's overall financial position is the same as if the man simply stolen the goods and the $30 in change. The store is still down. Here's Claude's answer. A man steals $100 bill from a store's register. He then uses that $100 bill to buy $70 worth of goods at the same store. When paying with the $100 bill, he gets $30 in change back. So the store lost $100 initially when the bill was stolen, but they got back $70 in goods sold and $30 in change returned. So the total loss for the store is $100 minus 70 minus 30 equals $0. Therefore, the total amount of money the store lost is zero. The store initially lost $100 when the bill was stolen, but the man spent $70 of that money back at the store for goods, and the store got the remaining $30 back as change. So in the end, the store got back all $100. That was a Bing from Microsoft. The store lost $100. The thief stole $100 from the register. He then paid $70 worth of goods with the stolen $100 bill and received $30 back in change. That's $70 plus $30 equals $100 before leaving the store. So the store is still down $100. Those were the responses of some of the chatbots. Was yours included? Let's take a look at what the result should be. From mindyourdecision.com, how smart are you? The stolen money viral math problem, the correct answer explained. This was actually posted in 2017. And the author said, I received this problem by email. This problem is making the rounds on Facebook and thousands of people are arguing about the correct answer. How smart are you? A guy walks into a store and steals $100 bill from the register without the owner's knowledge. He then buys $70 worth of goods and using the $100 bill, and the owner gives back $30 in change. How much did the owner lose? There are answers that range from $30 to $70 to $100 to $130, $170, or even $200. And I've seen some that say zero. Answer to the stolen money riddle. The best answer from the choices is the owner who lost $100. The bill that was stolen was then given back to the owner. What the owner loses is the $70 worth of goods and the $30 in change, which makes for a total of $70 plus 30 equals $100. The owner has lost $100. Technically, the owner lost $30 plus the value, or V, of the goods, of the $70 worth of goods. Since stores typically sell goods at a markup, the value may be less than $70. But in the case of a lost leader, the owner may have lost more than $70. Another strategy to solve the problem is to break down it into two stores. Story one, or story A. The guy walks into a store and steals a $100 bill from the register without the owner's knowledge. How much money did the owner lose? Clearly, the answer is $100. The owner is net minus $100. Story B. He buys $70 worth of goods using a $100 bill, and the owner gives $30 in change. How much money did the owner lose? The owner did not lose any money. This is a routine transaction. If the goods are valued at V, the owner is net 100 minus V minus 30 equals 70 minus V. So the story in the riddle is the sum of the two stories. This means the owner's position is the sum of the position of those two stories. The owner is a net minus 100 plus 70 minus V equals minus 30 minus V. That is, the owner lost $30 plus the value of goods. If the goods are valued at $70, then the owner lost $100. Now, there are some misconceptions. Many people think the answer is $200. It seems like the owner had $100 stolen and then another $100 stolen in the second story. But remember, the thief also paid using the $100 bill. So the owner actually gets back $100. The owner's loss is $100. Some people think $130 because the owner lost the $100 bill, then gives $30 in change. But remember, the owner also received a $100 bill and also gave away $70 in goods. Adding up all the transactions leads to the owner losing $100. The other incorrect responses are misunderstandings of a similar sort where people are not sure which numbers to add or subtract, or they are not taking into account all the parts of the story. It may help to view the two parts as separate stories, then add them up. If the fact that the thief paid with the stolen $100 seems to be another source of confusion. It does not matter that the $100 was stolen. It only matters that the bill was genuine currency. Did you get the answer right? Well, chatbots don't always agree. Maybe you didn't either. I'm Hewie Poplock.